There are six things, maybe more, I guess. A number of things, and uh, people can teach us about confidence. If you're an individual who sees other people, certain other individuals, you think, oh, they're really confident. I wish I could be that confident. Can't ever imagine being so confident. What is it? What is that magical thing? There isn't. They still have that voice in their head. The difference is they let it be their cue to habitually um, not try harder, but try smarter. Everybody has a voice in their head. Is like, is this gonna work? Am I gonna look stupid? Um, am I good enough for doing this? They just like the Nike logo, which the wording along with a Nike thing is just do it, right? Which on its own doesn't make any sense, but put it in with a context, you just do it, do things regardless of that voice in your head. You just do it. That's why Nike logo was so um, popular, and even though people didn't really understand fully consciously what they were reacting to, just do it. Gave people that feeling of that imaginary confidence. Just do it. It was stronger, and yet many things in their life they weren't confident of with. In its context, important, of course. You're confident with whatever you're doing in life because those things that you're doing in life that you're confident with are the things that you've done the most, are habitual, and things that you're not, they're probably new things or you had some issues with here and there. Perhaps. With some exceptions, you might not be confident with your mobility because you actually have physical mobility issues, but you're probably confident of the things that you do to get around that, which is now a new habit for you. Became a new habit when you unfortunately had that detriment. So, a number of things people can teach you about confidence is let realize that they are not as they don't achieve a cancellation of that voice in the head that are they going to be good enough, they got it as well, but they just do it, and that's a habit of practicing thinking of just get on with it anyway, we'll see where it goes, we'll see what happens. um, if you live with around very confident people that can aid your confidence to be taking more risk, because the confident, grounded people around you probably try to help sort things out for you. Very confident people don't shout and bitch and make a lot of noise and argue. They find a quieter way around things. Usually, and I'm certainly have my issues with impatience sometimes in certain contexts, and that really, I guess, that's I'm not confident that the other person is going to get things done properly and efficiently enough as to what I expect them to, and that's my problem. Really, that's like that's my fault. That's a me problem. Uh, I should have more patience and wait for other people to do things the way they're going on about things. So sometimes that's been a thing with me. I have this point, this you can tell when people are in a different kind of mindset. People who are very internet savvy uh, use the internet to get directly to an answer. So it trains my brain because I like to use the internet that way to get to the point quickly. And there's people out there who barely ever have used the internet at all, and they're a number of different generations, particularly older though. Yeah, sure. Um, they talk, the way they talk feels like and looks like they're telling you a story, and I'm thinking, well, why is that bit random? Why is that bit random? Get to the point. Come on. You know. So there's impatience there. But generally, people are very noisy, impatient all the time, every time, everything, and they're accusatory. Um, it shows very, very low grade level of confidence, especially when if they're accusatory without proof. They just accusatory to make themselves feel better or hide some facts about them by projecting and saying, no, it's these other people, not them. They're just trying to make you look this bad, um, without actual direct proof again. Well, that is now at a level of lacking confidence and lacking intelligence to think things through. You can improve your intelligence, I think, and again, that's a habit, that's a practice. Be confident enough that you can work things out by being patient enough with yourself to try and work things out. But instead, sometimes what happens is they don't want to try. They want to double down, be hard, do things harder. You know, they try, but they try harder with the same bullshit that they've been doing, that lowered their confidence, lowered their intelligence, lowered their life quality in the first place. Because how dare other people point out how inept they are, then act like a victim? It's a comfort zone because these very lacking in confidence people get addicted to that comfort zone. Sometimes they get addicted to personas they put out over the internet, particularly those ones that never go on camera. They use their avatar every single time. And that's fine. I've had people work on projects myself with when I was doing Exploratory Minds website, which is a new website, but there was a website we had as a kind of like a social network. I had a few members come and go on that. And it was really fun to edit and look at the pros and cons of doing all that, and asking people what do they want. You know, they had like a social website, a social platform, social media kind of thing. Very small, you know, running out on a shoestring, very small kind of thing. Um, it was interesting, but there was some people on the team who asked, "Do you want to do a video and go online?" And they didn't want to because they didn't want to put the face up on camera. I can understand that. But those who double down with a persona through the internet and use an avatar and all that, how much are they getting addicted to putting out the persona versus who they really are? And how much is that increasing the degradation of who they really are, and you know, the work on effort, the creativity going into the fake persona versus nothing being done for who they really are, increases the lack of confidence, and they get noisier, more vitriolic, more aggressive, more outlandish sometimes with some of these um, avatars, these personas out there, and that's evident over the internet, particularly with those who are extremely vitriolic against those who do come on camera and talk in ways that are not self-contradictory. You find these vitriolic people are kind of self-contradictory as well. They end up being very broken because there's no self-maintenance at all. Lack of confidence, lack of self-maintenance, lack of intelligence, all because they didn't they're too afraid to admit, oh, I'm not very good at this or that. I need to try smarter at this, on this or that, whatever it might be. And it gets out of control. The demons, they grow in their head, in their inner self, if you will, are out of control. And they project that. They are that inept, that lacking, that they rather be addicted to the persona and say, oh no, I'm this person. All right. And that's what narcissism is, pretending to be something that you're not, particularly. With narcissism, the word gets bandied around a lot, a huge amount. And to a degree that it kind of gets watered down. Although there are some people addicted to their personas in the company. Those who know, referring to them as the company, fit all the boxes. You can tick all the boxes for Aaron Costello, for instance. All the boxes tick for narcissism, but there's not just one type of narcissism out there, and some are not as bad as others. You just got to adjust the way you approach them. The biggest threat to individuals from narcissistic people is being owned by those and being played, owned, manipulated by narcissistic people. And I see that happening a lot as well, over the internet, and also miserable people over the internet, the accusatory, the name calling, and all that. They like to bring in other people that just as accusatory and all that, and they don't see each other as useful in a collaboration, a teamwork thing. Not really. They just want to use each other because misery loves company, and it feeds more fire to the fakery, the fake persona, the fake this, the fake that, while they do nothing about maintaining their own personal life and maintaining who they really are. But things get leaked out now and then because they're trying to compensate, protect that, and make excuses for who they really are. Like inept and just useless parenting skills. And they're blamed there. Other people are pointing out, well, why aren't you parenting your child instead of bitching online? Why aren't you seeing if they're okay? Instead of 24/7 bitching over the internet or whatever. And so people are saner and more grounded, point that out and saying, this isn't very healthy. What happens then? Same cycle. Oh, you're this, you're that. Projection of what they are actually being in the moment. Every accusation is an admission. Now, Mr. Black Wolf, extremely noisy, lacking confidence, the most confident person in the room, quietest. Most intelligent person in the room, always the quietest. Because they're thinking things through. They're not mouthing off and barking because they're scared of anybody pointing out the errors of the ways. So, most confident, quietest. Most intelligent, often the quietest. Sometimes the quietest, quite often really, the quietest people can be the most dangerous as well. Mr. Black Wolf is verging on a psychotic break, and you know what entails psychotic break? What is I put on Discord some of those things because I can imagine Wolf's thought process if he has an inner dialogue going something like, "How dare you attack my creation? It's my safe zone. That's it. I'm going to try harder." So he tries harder. The same bullshit that is making him react and be vitriolic in the first place because he's not confident. He knows he struggles with a lot of things in anything that requires a bit more intelligence. Rather than trying to learn, he tries harder with the persona that he's addicted to because he keeps running away from himself. The problem with running away from yourself, you can't, because you are going to be wherever you are. No matter how much you fantasize that you're something that you're not. Everyone is a bit of an actor on a big stage. Sure, that is. We all have ego. We all have a spectrum of egotism. But like I said, I've seen stronger wet tissues, to be honest with you. And psychotic break. What are the signs of that? Well, neglecting personal hygiene and self-care. Personal hygiene can also equate to your surroundings. We've seen a photo of Black Wolf. It's like, yeah, you look gross. Your surroundings look like they're gross. Tarnished with yellow walls from all whatever you're smoking as well. Self-isolating. This is a form of self-isolation. There's no way Black Wolf goes anywhere, much if at all. When you consider and you look at the amount of like 9 to 10 tweets per hour, almost 24/7, and they're all bitching, they're all vitriolic, they're all nasty, at least like 95% of the tweets. I call them tweets, I'm not calling them X's or whatever. Elon Musk's stupid X.com, what the fuck. Experiencing strong emotions, yeah, it gets very, very vitriolic. Yeah. Those are some of the traits. I'm not saying he has a psychotic break, but the amount of attachment to the persona, the degree of attachment to the persona, verges on split personality. You think Wolf's broken now? Give him another 6 months. I mean, probably 8 months ago, I made a video on the psychology of this and that, and kind of predicting he's going to get worse and worse. This is all these people do. They get worse and worse and worse. But each time they get worse, it's like it's not a linear progression, it's an exponential progression. That's the problem here, because it becomes, they have addiction problems. And one of the biggest problems with the addiction here is the addiction to the idea. Sometimes ideas end up taking a life of their own. If you don't use enough self-maintenance for your mind, and too much is on automation, then that is eliminating critical thinking, eliminating self-diagnosis, eliminating self-analysis. And what's left? There's no higher thinking being used, so what's left is the primitive fighting. There's 3 F's. It's not fight or flight. It's freeze, fight, or flight. And sure, when he responds, you see something, you feel like freezing, but then you go fight mode. And he does flight as well. When he's invited to be on to a live show to talk responsibly about and be an adult, no, he's not doing that. He carry on bitching about you instead, and run away to another platform, Twitter, and bitch about you. Run away from, as he's invited to, in the moment. Broken beyond repair. Black Wolf is going to get worse and worse and worse. This is why people have said he's not safe around children. Not because it's some sexual thing. He came up with that. What has been said is how angry, vitriolic, and nasty he is. By the way, he's very, very projective, accusing other people of doing the same things that he's doing. but he's also accusing them of being PDF files. Play on words, you know what I mean. I'm not going to say the actual thing because I don't know what YouTube algorithm, who knows, like hide the videos or whatever, or not really put it in searches as much, put it that way. So that is a big concern. Didn't say he was, but it's a big concern. I've talked about it this way before. And mentioned it, I kind of repeated myself, but the point here is you go in a public bar, talk to the quietest person, you probably get a really intelligent conversation, one that's not self-contradictory as well. Also, when you go into a public bar, Black Wolf never will. He's just at home on the internet pretending to be somebody he's not, with a lot of vitriol. But this is what I do. Pubs in the UK are meeting hubs anyway. They're very social hubs. If you get the right one and you think it's not right for you, just try somewhere else if it's another in your vicinity. But they're very useful things as part of the UK culture. I don't know about other countries as much, but certainly you can gain friends and learn things. If I go to somewhere that's new, I sit back, be quiet, and observe and think about what's being said around me. And if I hear a conversation that I think is a little bit a subject matter of where I'm not really quite good at understanding it, I think, that's what I want. I want to talk to those people. Sometimes. Not always, depending on how I'm feeling that day. But certainly that's the thing I've done and do. And because then you get talking to them and you can learn something new. And if it's learning something good enough for your own experience, then you can apply it for practical application of the knowledge that you've gained to improve your own life, which will raise your confidence of confidence with whatever was being talked about, whatever the subject is, and knowledge is to improve whatever aspect of your life, right? You really think any of the company are going to ever be productive in that direction, in that concept of just get out of your own way and allow things to be? Confidence is a habit. It is not some kind of magical fix. Every single person out there you perceive as being confident has that voice in their head of, I don't know if I'm going to be good enough at this. I hope this don't go wrong. Or am I doing this right? Did I do this right? They have all of that. But they just do it anyway. And they just keep going with attempts at trying smarter and better, not attempts at trying harder that got you fucked up in the first place. Everyone in the company is addicted to trying harder with a fake persona that they're addicted to because they can't handle the hard work of doing things. They see the trying better as too big a step, and it is too big a step. Why? Because they've let it go for so long. But they can still break down a big step into baby steps that will equal that one step. But they're too involved with their own bullshit to see that. Aaron Costello will never understand a fucking word what I just said. It's too complicated for her. Black Wolf will just react to something like this and say, oh, you look like a dodgy dude, a PDF dude. Always going back to that, on anybody who tells him you're going about things the wrong way. He's the one coming up with the PDF accusation, even though nothing's been said to, of course, and that is awful because every time somebody uses or throws around that word willy-nilly, it waters it down. It's like it should be used to point out with proof of people who are that immoral and victimize minors by being such a thing and get law involved and so on. But Wolf will actually shout out with his vitriolic bullshit on Twitter with words like, "This is a fact." There was all accusation and this is a fact. Who are you trying to convince? Not convincing us. He's trying to convince himself. Because he knows it's not a fact. He wants the fantasy of his alternate persona to be fact. And the alternative persona is accusatory and all these things. So if that's a fact, or everything else must be a fact, then... But it's not. It's just his feelings. His emotion. High emotion. Experiencing strong emotions. Part of a psychotic break. The level at which he's addicted to this persona verges on split personality. Using psychedelics, by the way, shrooms, mushrooms, whatever. Although it's been reported psychedelics, people are researching that, even experts say it's not necessarily addictive. But I think it's indirectly addictive. It's still an escapism thing. And it also, psychedelics show a lot of losing identity. Yeah. I think it's healthy to build an identity that is cooperative out there in the world. That it doesn't separate you too much from sense and sensibility and coherency and mitigating self-contradictions. If your identity helps you do that, then you're onto a winner that's progressive, whereas Wolf is completely very forward in being backward. There's a lot of contradictions he's put out. He blurts out Manya and Chesh live with Mummy and Daddy. Yeah, he knows that Manya's gone to live from India to New Zealand. Now she's living in Australia. Certainly moved around a lot, way more than I have for work. I've never left my country for work. I have been to other countries though. Yeah, this is crazy. The contradiction, it's just vitriol. I feel like this, therefore this and this must be true and fact. That's Wolf's research, and I had to laugh, and it's hilarious to hear him blurt out, "Oh, I've done a bit more research now. I understand what's going on." No, he doesn't. He doesn't understand a damn thing other than his addiction to his persona and his bitching about people who point out the errors of his ways. That's it, in a nutshell. But Erin, yeah, Black Wolf was just an ideal puppet for her. She's probably getting sick of him. With the educated guess. He's past the point of no return. He's going to get worse. We all said Reverend Ruin is going to get used. Definitely. They all use each other though, because misery loves company. And it's not company in a way that helps each other, it's company in a way that to back up, or not back up, support false claims so that each one can feel comfortable about themselves and their inept life in reality. So it's just an excuse to deny the reality and the realness of the situations they're in. I don't think Black Wolf ever steps outside if at all. You know, he just sure he's gonna have to. I would have thought. Um, but the weed he orders is even ordered online and delivered to him. How do I know all these things? These people put all this out there. This is not. You don't have to search for anything. They just tell you everything about their life while they're accusing other people about it. Yeah. And we know, like, Aaron's own son and daughter don't want anything to do with her. She begs online of, oh, I just want my friends back. And she sees these people she's never met in person before over the internet as close friends somehow. Hmm. I mean, I do enjoy these people in this community that I mingle with, and sure, it's kind of a friendly group, um, as opposed to the companies just, oh, who can I manipulate to back up to, no, who can I manipulate to make me feel better about myself and throw accusations out there. What a lonely, pathetic existence. Because if they're doing that over the internet, you can guarantee they're only doing it because people in person, in their real life, don't want anything to do with them anymore because of that dysfunction. So they try, I thought, oh, I'm going to try it on the internet then. Because Aaron begging, oh, I want my friends back. Begging for people online to be their friends. What's that tell you? Aaron's showed photos of her daughter and her son, and those are ones that she shares that are put out there. That really look at the body language, it just blatant advert that those people just don't want to be around Aaron. Son's more interested in his phone than taking a selfie with Aaron. Daughter's giving her the finger as if to say, fuck off, mum, you're taking too many photos. Those are ones she shares. Hmm. Hold on a second. So this is from many years ago. The public bar where this was taken, that pub no longer exists anymore. It's just a bunch of houses now. Um, that's me and my brother, very happy with each other, having a photo at a party in that bar. That's me on the with the orange top, and that's my brother with the blue top. So, guarantee none of these fuckers got a photo like that, where genuine smiles, arms around each other, ready to take the photo. It was a great time. To this day, I still have an amicable enough relationship with my brothers, um, and family and friends as well. I won't be out seeing my friends tomorrow because the rest of the flooring comes for this room. I'll be indoors sorting that out. It's just as well anyway because the weather forecast has put my area on yellow alert. So it's not, yellow alert isn't that bad. It just means it's going to be a bit crap. It might be minor, a bit of local flooding here and there. Not in a major way. It is. So it looks very dark at the moment outside. The wind's picking up, so it's ready to come in. It's 10:30. Look at the forecast. I thought it was going to come in much earlier, but then I live in kind of like a valley area, so it's probably gone over. You know, a maintenance range I'm surrounded by, and I'm sort of down sometimes the cloud just goes over the top. Other times, like today, we're going to get a lot of heavy rain, I think. One of the things about being in this bigger room, a view I have in the window, when there is a thunderstorm, which I'd love to sit and watch, I've got a better view of the thunderstorms there. Perhaps I'll do some footage one day of if there's any thunderstorms going off. There's a big mountainous range with trees at the front there. That would be pretty cool to watch that at night if there's a thunderstorm. Yeah. Hope you enjoyed the video. It's just my take on it. You know, just look out. Look at people. If you think they're really competent, it doesn't work. The voice in their head going, "Am I good enough? Is this gonna work? Am I gonna do this right? Or would I make a mistake because I'm tired? Yada yada, whatever." That voice. I mean, some people don't have an inner dialogue, but whatever your thought process and processing does to equate to something like that, it never goes away, even in people who are seem to be to you very competent. Their reward, though, is they succeed because they try different ways with things. But people like the Black Wolf crowd don't want to try different ways because they're always right, or they love to fantasize and they're addicted to the fantasy that they're always right. Therefore, they always try harder, not smarter, not better. Not one of these fuckers is gonna try anything new. Not one of them is gonna learn anything new. That's too much of a threat to their fantasy of already being there. And when they're in the nowhere, they haven't even begun crawling yet. You know, if you equate it to a running around a track, the sane grounded person has run around a track 20 times before they even decided to start. They're just at the starting point bitching and moaning about the state of the things, and it's always your fault, not theirs. Cheers. Bye.